Hello, my name is Diana Bray. I have been with Celerant for 23 years. I currently work in the training department, and I am glad you're here to learn a little bit about the QuickBooks interface. So, and as I say QuickBooks interface, that's just default. Actually, you can use this with other accounting systems. We have people doing the export file to Sage, to Peachtree. So if your accounting system is able to import a journal entry, then you would be able to use the software also. It's a CSV file, just to let you know. Okay, so the way I'm going to approach it today is we're going to kind of start out with our setup process, what we send over, how we have to set it up, and then the information that we get after the setup. Kind of as an overview, what the QuickBooks interface or the accounting interface does is it creates a journal entry for point of sale by day, by store. So everything that happens at point of sale is created in a summarized journal entry. Then after that, that is sent either by file and imported into an accounting software, or we interface with QuickBooks Online. What this means is that basically you select what you want to go to QuickBooks Online, you press a button, and it's in QuickBooks Online. It directly puts the information in there. We do this by building an app that connects the two internet softwares. Okay, so now we're going to we're going to go through the basic setup of how we set up the interface, and then we're going to look at what we send over, how you can see that information, and then we'll finish up the training or the information with reports that you can use for accounting purposes. Okay. All right. So starting up, setup. So when you get ready to start your your QuickBooks program, you're going to have an implementation manager and sometimes also a trainer that will help you walk through this process. So we're going to help you get it set up. We're going to make sure it's working before you just take it over and use it. Okay, so you're not going to do the whole thing by yourself. We're going to be there. Now, another thing I need to say is that QuickBooks or accounting interface is an add-on. This is not something that comes with Celerant Cumulus, but it is an add-on that you can then set up and use. Okay, so you would need to contact your salesperson to get information on the accounting export or the QuickBooks export. Okay, so first, you see over here, I've got my accounting open. So we're going to go to setup and we're going to look at the accounting configuration. All right, with the accounting configuration, um, there's not many here that you need to change. So our options and then your selections are in the center, and then the information over here is additional information. I am not going to read this word for word. You can do that if you need to, but for right now we're talking about, like with QuickBooks, you can have one company per store, or you can have all your stores in one company. So if you have multiple stores and you have a company for each store, you would change this to yes. But if you have one company in QuickBooks for all your stores, then you leave it at no. So we can work with multiple stores with multiple companies. Also is, how are you going to record your sales and your cost of goods? Store only means you have one sales, one cost of goods that you're posting to. Store by department means I'm going to post by store by department, which means you have to have a account to post the store by department. Okay, so most of the time this is going to be store only. Also, you can make this selection for your inventory. So when you're looking at your inventory in your accounting software or in your QuickBooks, is it just one inventory asset, or do you have accounts by department? If you have accounts by department, you have to choose store and department. Okay, this is for interstore transfers. You only need this if you have multiple stores. With a single store, you wouldn't need this, but your choices are inventory or in transit. In other words, when you move it out of one store, it would go to in transit, and then when it's received by the other store, it would move into the inventory of that store and out of in transit. Here is PO receiving. It's going to go to accounts payable usually. However, this one is linked to how you post your inventory. So up here, if you post your inventory by store and department, you must use the credit a PO clearing account. What this means is that when you receive merchandise, it's going to create a journal entry that will send that to the clearing account. And then once you receive the purchase order and you bring in the bill, it will move it out of the clearing account and into the accounts payable account. So, but most of the time, this is just going to be going straight to accounts payable. Do you only want approved payables? I'm usually going to answer this no. If I don't have just approved payables, then I'm going to be able to see things that aren't approved also. So that's usually how I'd set that. Separate debit and credit columns. This is used for QuickBooks. That's the default for QuickBooks. Usually the default for like Sage is just a single column. So you need to find out how that information needs to be imported into your accounting software for you to then make your choice here. And also these choices can be changed. So if we make the wrong choice and we want to go back and change it, we can. All right, so it's not something that you have to leave once you've made the change. Okay, a payable export. If you're using the QuickBooks desktop, you would have to manipulate the journal entry a little bit for Transaction Pro to move it into QuickBooks Desktop. But if you're using QuickBooks Online, it will go in the return to vendors will. So this is about a negative payable, which is your return to vendors. Okay, so we're just going to save this now. Okay, the next thing we're going to go look at is the accounting setup. Now, the accounting setup is where we bring your chart of accounts in and where we do the mapping. So I'm going to go to this screen. All right, so here is my chart of accounts. Or no, these are my rules. I'm sorry. These are my rules that need to be mapped. Now, if you're not going to use that rule, then you don't have to map it. There's going to be several things in here that you might not use. And if you don't use it, you just don't map it. Now, if you don't map it and somebody uses that option and you've got something that needs to be sent, then you will have to map it in order to be able to post that day. So this is the mapping screen. Under here is where bring in the chart of accounts. So we're going to import your chart of accounts so that you can then map the rules to where you want them to post in your accounting system or in your QuickBooks. We also can bring in a file. So if you're using something other than QuickBooks Online, QuickBooks Desktop would be an example, or Sage or something like that. We're going to bring your chart of accounts in as a file. And then once we import it, you're ready to do the mapping process. And basically it's just choosing what you want to map, going to assign GL account, and then selecting the account that you want to post to, and then saving it. So I have the drop down here. Oh, that's right up. Somehow, there it goes. There we go. Okay, so I can say accounts payable is what I want to map it to, and I can save it, and then it's mapped. Now, again, this process is not something you will do by yourself. The mapping process, the setup process for your accounting software, you're going to have an implementation manager and you're going to have a trainer if needed to help you walk through this process. Okay, so it's not something you do by yourself, but it is. I wanted to show you that you are selecting where this is going to hit in your QuickBooks. All right, now we do have some help with this. So we're not just, going to go over it with you. We're also going to give you some documentation. So these are our rules. And then we give you a recommended type. Now this is an account type in QuickBooks. And then we give you some information about what is going to post. And then on the other side, we give you an example of the account name. So something similar to this, it doesn't have to be the same words. It's just this is kind of what it should look like. Like accounts payable should be accounts payable. So there are a couple of accounts that have to be something other than what they are in QuickBooks. One's accounts receivable and one's sales tax. So this is an example that accounts receivable has to be an other current asset. And you're probably going to make a brand new account that's called accounts receivable stratus or cumulus. Yours would be cumulus if you're using it. So we have this information that we also can send you to help you with that mapping process. If you still don't feel comfortable, we can take the time to help you map it. Okay, so this is the second part of the setup. All right, so we're going to come back here. With the QuickBooks Online, we create an app that connects the two softwares together. We'll walk you through that process of setting up the app. If you're using QuickBooks Desktop, you'll need to purchase Transaction Pro. We only need the import version of Transaction Pro, and that Transaction Pro is a third-party software that's used to import your journal entry. So with QuickBooks Desktop, you can't just import that journal entry. You have to go through a third-party software, and so we use Transaction Pro. So the Transaction Pro then takes your journal entry and it puts it into QuickBooks. For other softwares, a lot of times, I know like with Sage, usually a Sage developer is going to create your interface with it once they get the information on how we send it out, and then you have your import set up. Okay, so that's the setup process. So now we're going to look at, okay, what do we export? What can we export? So we're going to see that under Accounting Journal Export. And this is where I can show you what all we export as journal entries into QuickBooks or your accounting software. All right, we've got sales. This is everything that happens at sales other than a register payout. So this is deposits, it's sales, cost of goods. If you do gift cards, it's gift cards used, gift cards received. If you do in-store credits, it keeps up with an in-store credit. So you've got everything that it happens at point of sale is in a journal entry that goes to QuickBooks. Okay, then you've got your inventory movement. Inventory movement is inventory adjustments. So adjusting in or adjusting out. It's also transfers between stores. It also can be physical inventory, a physical inventory adjustment that's created after a physical inventory is taken. So these are the different things that fall under inventory movement. Then under receiving and returning, this is the one where we were talking about if you use inventory with departments, so store and department, this is the journal entry that you would create that moves it into inventory and puts it into the clearing account. If you use that, it will show up. You will not have any journal entries for receiving and returning if you are going straight to inventory. So these will only be created if you're using the department and store and department posting of inventory. Paid outs are just that. If you're using your register as a petty cash and you're paying out, then this will create paid out entries. So I've already run this just to kind of save some time. And then, so here's my inventory movement. I've got a paid out and I've got sales information. Now I'm going to uncheck two of these because I got to do them one at a time. So if we're looking at the posting of, wait, I don't want that one. Let's use this one. If we're looking at the posting of inventory movement, we're going to go to action and we're going to, let's see, we're going to view transaction detail. What the view transaction detail does is it allows us to look at the information being posted. But it does let us look at this on a transaction base. We're not going to export it in a transaction individually. We're going to do a subtotal of all these transactions to create the journal entry. Okay, but there's only one here, so I'm going to click it, View, Edit, GL Entries. So then when this comes up, we're going to see the journal entry. So the first column is the account we've got it posted to. And then the next is what's posting. And then you've got your debits and your credits. The totals of debits and credits do not mean that's the amount that's being moved. It just means that's the total of your debits and credits. I do get that question occasionally. All right, so now we're going to hit cancel on this. All right. And then the next one we're going to look at is here's your paid outs. So if you do use the paid outs to see what that looks like. And any of these you can choose what's posted and not posted. So I'm going to go to the paid out and then we're going to view edit. Now something I did not say before is this top part is giving you detailed information on where that transaction is, the transaction number, the transaction date, and the transaction type. So this allows you, if you needed to go look this up, to be able to go look up this information. Okay, so this was going to store supplies and it came out of undeposited funds. It's going to come out of your cash account. So if your cash account is posted to cash and drawer or if it's posted to undeposited funds, that's going to be the offset for your store supplies. And that means I had one for store supplies and I had it mapped to store supplies. Using reason codes is very important and makes it easier for you to import transactions and have them go to the right account. Okay. You can also do a little bit of editing in there if needed. If you need a penny off, you can put it in balance because you can only post transactions that are in balance and have all their accounts. Notice I do have some yeses here. That means these would not post until I checked and see what's not mapped. Okay, so we're going to choose the sales here. We'll just choose the sales date. And we're going to view transaction detail. So with the sales, you've got the receipt number, so you know exactly what transaction it is. And so we're just going to choose one of these and go up to view edit transaction. And here's our journal entry. So our sales payment, and these again is where I have it mapped. So that's where it's posting. You can, as I said, if you needed to make a little bit of an adjustment, you can make it in here. But most of the time your accounts are going to be in balance and you're not going to have an issue. Okay, so this is my receipt number. This is sales receipts, and this is the date. Okay, so what I want to do with this transaction, just to kind of give you an idea of what the journal entry is going to look at, is we're going to export this entry. And what that's going to do is it's going to create that file that would be sent into, now, you only get this if you're using the desktop version, whether you want it posted or not. I usually, until you're sure that everything's correct, I usually tell you don't mark it posted. And then once it imports into QuickBooks and everything's good, you can come back and mark it posted. After a few days of, okay, everything looks good, you can mark everything, yes, it's posted. Okay, so we're going to go up here and we're going to look at our journal entry. And so this is a short version, but it does subtotal everything. And you can see what where my payments went, my cost of goods, my inventory is just even, then my sales, and then my sales tax. This was just a simple day. Your days are going to be more complex. You've got a lot of more stuff going on, deposits and stuff like that. This is just a basic little journal entry. Okay, so we're going to close that and close that. I do have one other example to kind of show you what that journal entry is going to look like. We're going to do a cost of goods and inventory, sales, all your tenders, gift cards, credits, that's in-store credits, layaways and deposits, paid ins, paid outs. This is no longer, it used to be in this journal entry. Now this is a journal entry by itself. You also, if you had any shipping, you would have that in here, and your deposits for your layaways and special orders. I also have over here some reporting, which we're going to look at in just a minute, some reporting that you would go to look at this. Okay, so let's close this. All right. So basically that's it. That's the process of moving it. Now for accounts payable, we also do the accounts payable part. What this is when you receive merchandise, it creates a receiving log. Within that receiving log, that's where the information is being pulled to be sent to QuickBooks as a bill. Again, you can use what you want of the interface. This is just part of it. So if we go look at our payables export. So the payable export I have has an inventory, an invoice number. I'm sorry, it has an invoice number. Now, if it didn't have an invoice number, I would know that the matching had not been done. The invoice had not been matched to the receiving. If the invoice is matched to the receiving, then I'm going to have an invoice number here because it would be added at that point in time. When the invoice number is here, I know I can send this information over to QuickBooks. Notice that I'm posting to inventory and I'm posting to freight. The only thing we have to remember here is that the vendor name that we have in our vendor record must match the company name in QuickBooks because that's what it's looking to match. If it's not exactly the same, it will not import it. It'll say there's nothing there. I can't find that vendor. And so once you create the vendor or you make the names exactly the same and you export it again, then it'll go in. We also, the one that I use the most is under Register Summary Report. And when you go to Register Summary Report, it's up here under Action, Print Register Summary. This is the report I use. Now, I can do this for all stores or one store. I can even do it for a register, and I can do it for a date range. Okay, I think I've already ran this, and it's right here. So the register summary report gives me my total sales, which is this center column here is total sales by department. Now it does give me my sales shipped, returns. On the right hand side is layaway and special order information, but it doesn't really have anything to do with our total sales. A sale is not a sale till it's closed, so open layaways and special orders are not considered sales. Just a note. Okay, this is the section that allows us to check our journal entry. We've got our sales tax, we've got our sales and our returns. Then here are net transactions. Now, if we keep going, you're going to see everything that has happened at point of sale. There's our shipping returns, our paid ins, our paid outs. We've got gift cards redeemed, gift cards used. So all this information is in that journal entry. Then down here, you're going to see the cash, MasterCard. So this is going to be your types And then there's a credit card breakdown. Evidently, I used something different, but also your on accounts, what was charged to accounts if you use accounts receivable and personal checks. This was a payment. I have a personal check. And then also paid in, paid outs here too. So this is just a overall, to me, very good report that gives me all the information that has happened in the date range that I choose, which normally for a journal entry is going to be 1 day. Mine's a little bit more, so I had information to show you. This can be printed to a PDF file if needed. Okay, so that's the register summary report that's here. Next one I want to talk about is the payment summary. A lot of people ask, well, how can I see what my deposit should be? Right here, payment summary gives you the payment summary for the day. I think it's this one. No, that's receipts. Come back. Payment summaries. Okay, so this is my payment summary for the day. So if we choose this day, I see that my total tender was $200, and then I can come over here and I see it was a personal check of $200. Of course, yours is going to have more information on it than mine, but it does break it down so that you can see the tenders and then how the tenders were used. This is even your gift cards redeemed. Okay, from up here, which can make it easier, I can choose a single store or all stores, and I can choose my date range to look at it. I can also print this list. I can reprint an X-out report here. Don't use the X-out or the closeout reports for accounting purposes. That's just general information. It's better to use reporting that I'm showing you for accounting purposes than that X-out report or the closeout report. Those are just for generally closing the registers, closing the day. Detailed information is found better in other reports in the system. Okay, we talked about the register summary report. Now receipts. So when we go into receipts, you can put a date range here, but for some reports, it's better not to have a date range. Do note there's two date ranges, the transaction date and the close date. For accounting purposes, we always run close date. We're very rarely going to actually need the transaction date. Close dates are when sales become sales. But under the advanced, there's a lot of good information here. Has credit left, for example. The has credit left is this list here. This tells me who still has available credit. Under this available credit, this is as of the time ran. You cannot backdate this. It is as of right now. Once somebody uses their credit, it will disappear out of the available credit column. So this is my available credit. These are my in-store credits as of the date this morning when I ran this report. Okay. There's another under receipts. You can also check voids, has discounts, or has gift cards sold if you're looking for gift cards sold. I can also run a report for open receipts. I can see what receipts are still open and what are the deposits on those receipts. So that's also available. I can also run tickets to see where a gift card was used as the tender or any other tender, cash tender, credit card tender, store credit, if I want to see what tickets store credit was used on. So this, this is very informational. I can also tell it I just want to see layaways that are open, or I just want to see special orders that are open. If I choose this, I'm going to see layaways and special orders that are open. So there's a lot of good information in the advanced tab of receipts. Okay, so looking at our reporting, we've looked at receipts, we've looked at payment summary. Payments is the detail of payment summary. So I can actually look at payment summary and find a day, and then if I want to see the detail of that day, I can look under payments. And then we've looked at register summary. You can also get a list of your gift cards. So this will show me what gift cards I have open right now. So my open gift card balance is found in this report. While that's running, and we'll just check, make sure that we've went over everything. So this is the total. Where's my total? Oh, there's my total. I don't know what's doing over there. It's sitting over here for some reason, but it will give me a total of available gift cards that are open as of that point in time. Another few things is to point out, like with that store credit report, gift card report, these are as of time ran. I cannot backdate them. So if I get a call in June that says, hey, we're finishing up my taxes and they need my open receipts or my not deposits, sorry about that. I need my in-store credits, my gift cards, totals as of a point in time. I can't do that. We can backdate some stuff. I mean, we can run reports to show what's been used, what's been purchased, and kind of back our way into that number. But to get those numbers at the end of your year for accounting purposes, they need to be run at the end of the year or the first day of your new year. Sometimes that's in December and January, sometimes that's in June and July. Sometimes it's in October. So it depends when your calendar year is, but you need to get them at that point in time so that you have them ready for the accountant when they ask for them. Okay, so that concludes our QuickBooks integration. So I want to thank you for being here. And I hope this was informational. I hope you learned something. I hope it encourages you to maybe choose one of our interfaces to work with your accounting program. Again, my name is Diana Bray. I was glad to present you with this information, and I hope you had a good day.
That concludes this session. Thank you for joining us. If you have any questions, please reach out to your implementation manager or account representative. Don't forget, you can refer to the Resources tab under the top navigation panel to download session outlines and more from all of our sessions. Also, be sure to visit our partner booths to check out their special offers and connect with them to enter their giveaways. We'll see you in the next session.